He's the Director of Standards and Government Affairs for Medicity. He's a long-time HIMSS attendee and always in the top 5 lists of social media people in health IT. You've been coming to HIMSS for a long time now. What's changed the most over the years? I mean, we've seen it grow from, gosh, it used to seem like it was huge with 30,000 people. Now we have probably 50 this year.
Well, it seemed like it was huge with 10,000 people and 5,000 people, but yeah, it's over 45. I bet you we could even get close to 50,000 this year. So it just gets bigger and bigger. It's almost gotten to the point where it's too big to be able to manage it all.
So now we've gone through meaningful use. In the early days, you were here probably even before meaningful use, or around the time meaningful use started coming in forward, which is part of the big reason for the large size that we see today. Meaningful use is a little bit unstable right now, to say the least. So we're going to see Karen DeSalvo talk tonight. What do you expect? How are things going to change going forward, do you think?
Well,
what announcements do you think they might make?
First off, today, the Office of Management and Budget has released a new rule, a proposed rule that'll get published in the Federal Register. Secretary Burwell is speaking tonight. And then tomorrow night, they're having a special session with Andy Slavitt of CMS and Karen DeSalvo, the Assistant Secretary of Health, and also still the reigning National Coordinator for Health IT. At the J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference, Mr. Slavitt made some comments about meaningful use and how things were transitioning into the merit incentive payment system as part of the macro law. A lot of people saw that and they just, to them the tweet or the headline was, meaningful use is over, meaningful use is ending. Meaningful use called and said, the rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated. Actually, the MIPS, the Merit Incentive Payment System, only addresses physician payments. It replaced the Sustainable Growth Rate Formula. So there is nothing in place right now to transition hospitals out, other than what HHS has had in place around alternative payment models and value-based payments. But that doesn't replace the EHR incentive program. However, Congress is starting to get involved, and they've just passed a law, and the President signed it just before New Year's, that extends and allows greater flexibility around hardship exceptions. And then there's other legislation working its way through Congress that talks about eliminating the penalty. Oriented, sort of check-the-box mentality of meaningful use and into outcome measurement.
So along those lines, moving into outcomes, how is interoperability going to play into this? Because I think there seems to be a growing realization that you can't really get to outcomes without sharing data and really looking at population levels, and that only comes when data flows, there's data liquidity. What kinds of things from an ONC perspective is going to help drive that? I mean, incentive payments are maybe something different. But
yeah, well, in their information blocking report that they had to give to Congress as part of the appropriations for this year, they talked a lot about information blocking, and the Senate right now has pending legislation that'll wind its way through the halls of Congress that actually empowers the Office of Civil Rights and HHS to deal with what they term information blocking. In the draft legislation right now in the Senate Health Committee, they have a definition of information blocking. I don't know that there's any really notorious information blocking going on. There are, though, people that are meeting the needs of their customers, and so
it still comes back down to the business model,
exactly,
and what you get paid for.
So it's sort of the chicken and the egg. I mean, we need interoperability to move us into a value-based system, but the business model of the value-based system is going to help drive interoperability. So I don't think anymore that it's a technology problem.
Right.
We have the technology. So we can rebuild it.
So maybe we'll see more and more action along the business side as opposed to the technology
and that's
side.
part of what the merit incentive payment system will do.
So we're here at HIMSS. We're outside the Chime CIO forum. You know, incentive payments are big on all the lists you see for CIOs today. What are the new products that you see that are starting to help fulfill some of these, or what kinds of products are you looking for?
Well, I think that what CIOs, if their health system is moving towards value-based payments, going at risk in an accountable care solution type of framework, that one of the things that I find really interesting is now the claims analytics companies working with the clinical analytics folks and finding new ways of sort of combining claims, administrative, and clinical data to really have more powerful real-time information. You know, if you do claims analytics alone, it's retrospective. It's great. You found out, So, you can have real-time information that will allow you to have sort of just-in-time interventions.
Great. Anything else that you're looking for this HIMSS?
Yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to, most of the CMS and ONC sessions are really interesting to me. They have sessions on the 2015 edition standards and certification criteria. That's not going away. That's actually a part of the merit incentive payment system. And meaningful uses as well. So to say meaningful use is going away, it's just being absorbed into MIPS. It's 25% of the scoring for MIPS is meeting the meaningful use requirements. So, and there's a requirement that you have to be using certified health IT. ONC moved away from calling it certified EHRs to certified health IT because there's other solutions now that could be certified that wouldn't be applied to meaningful use at all, but could be used by HHS for other programs and purposes.
Perhaps more consumer-oriented products.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too. I'm going to be looking for where the patient engagement solutions are. I think we've done a pretty good job now of properly identifying the providers and having exchange among providers. But I think it would be nice if the patient or an equal member of the care team had the same access to information that the CNA or the nurse or the physician had, or the front desk clerk. So it takes me longer and harder, got to do work, and I know what I'm doing. And it's not always easy to get my information. I had some major healthcare issues last year. 2 systems, both great care, high quality clinical care, both using a world-renowned, market-leading, large EHR vendor. Supposedly, you could have care anywhere and everywhere. And even with the same EHR system, it was challenging to get all my data. So I'm looking forward to the day when patients are at the center of health information exchange instead of on the periphery.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we'll be exploring later on Health IT TV is how you really create a more patient-centered data store for healthcare as we move forward. And that's one of the questions we'll be asking a lot of other people.
And one final thing on that is, a lot of people think that patients aren't interested in accessing their own health data. And I just don't think that that's true. They just don't know how to. So as you get into these alternative payment models and you need to have engaged patients, it might take some sort of healthcare navigators to help the patients run the rat maze of our intricate and confusing health.
Thank you.